When I started my channel back in 2016, I did a series of videos on perfect pitch because I had just done some videos with Dylan that were huge on Facebook where Dylan was demonstrating his perfect pitch. Name these.
D, F sharp, C sharp, D, B flat, B.
This one.
A flat, G, flat, D flat, B flat, A flat, C.
That's correct. Dylan was 3 when I discovered he had perfect pitch, and since I don't have perfect pitch, I wanted to learn more about it, so I started looking at a bunch of research papers. When does it happen? How does it develop? And then one of the things I came across is that people eventually lose their perfect pitch, which I thought was fascinating. In today's video, we're going to explore how and why this happens. Before we get started, let's talk about perfect pitch versus relative pitch. So I have my guitar here. It's way out of tune. Now, if I were to tune it, I would... I just tune it relative. This... I would just tune the strings to each other. So that's a fourth. That's a fourth. That's a fourth. I tune that to a fifth between those two strings. So this is basically in pitch relative to itself. Now, if I were to put this up against a tuner though, it's not going to be to standard pitch. Let's see. Well, actually, it's perfectly in tune with standard pitch. Now, why is that? Because I was using relative pitch to tune the guitar by tuning the strings using intervals. So the low E string, right? I went up a perfect fourth to tune the 5th string A, another perfect fourth up from A to D to tune the 4th string, and then from D to G, G to B is a major third, and then B to E is a perfect fourth again. So that is the sound of the open strings of the guitar using both relative pitch, and some of you are going to say, well, Rick has perfect pitch because that's exactly in tune. But when I said pitch memory, that is a thing that is actually related to perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is really pitch memory, but it's an instantaneous thing. Now, what is perfect pitch? The definition. Perfect pitch is the ability to instantly name a note once it's struck or reproduce a note without a reference tone. If I sing E, that note there, I'm hearing the note in my head and I'm singing it. Take this clip of Jacob Collier. This is from a June Lee video. So Jacob is singing these pitches and the piano was added afterwards in post-production. But you'll notice that the notes are perfectly in tune because Jacob Collier has perfect pitch.
With that in mind, if I hear a chord like yeah, something like this, like C, C minor 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
Any of you that have seen Jacob Collier's videos, listen to any of his music, know he has one of the greatest ears of any human beings. Just has ridiculously good perfect pitch, can hear microtones, and if you're not familiar with him, you should definitely check him out. So let me tell you a little story. When I hit 50 or so, 51, 52, I started tuning my guitar up, and when I thought it was perfectly in tune like that, it was perfectly in tune to E flat. And I don't know why that happened. It wasn't like I was playing a lot of guitar parts tuned down a half step. It just, I could swear the E was that note, which is E flat. What I didn't realize is that my pitch memory was drifting down a half step. Then I started talking to people that had perfect pitch that were also in their 50s, and they said that their perfect pitch started to become inaccurate. Not everyone, but most people that had perfect pitch. Just about everyone. I'd call some of my friends that I'd known for years and I said, yeah, my perfect pitch is off by half step. They always said it's off by half step. So then I started doing more research on it and I came across some really interesting videos on YouTube. Check it out.
I saw an interview with the great Russian pianist, Richter, who complained of the same thing. If you have absolute pitch, perfect pitch, if you live long enough, you will lose it. And he said, just as I'm saying, that he lost it, and I lost it. He said, it's terrible to walk out for a concert and expect to hear this. And suddenly, to your ear, when you sit down at the piano, even though you're playing those notes, it may sound like this.
So your perfect pitch has shifted.
No, it's gone down the tube.
So that's the very famous Opus 110 Beethoven Piano Sonata, number 31. So what Abby Simon is saying is that Richter came out playing these notes, starting on this A-flat major chord, but in his brain, that was really a G. In Richter's mind, he was hearing the piece down a half step in G. So when he played those notes, he was surprised. It was like, wait a minute, those aren't the right notes. There's another great example that I saw, and it's from a Dick Cavett, Oscar Peterson interview. So Dick Cavett is interviewing Oscar Peterson. This is from 1979. So Oscar is 54 years old, right in the range where you'd begin to lose your perfect pitch. And there's a feedback note that happens, and Dick Cavett asks Oscar if you know what note this is. And Oscar's like, yes, it's E.
Would that be at least an educated comment?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope that E.
What was that note?
E.
Was it E?
You want to bet? You want to bet?
You passed it? You mean if you hit it on the piano, it would prove it?
Well,
you passed the test.
That could be close to.
Little touch of feedback there.
So as soon as Dick Cavett goes, that note, Oscar says E. Well, that note's actually E flat. So it's the same thing. Oscar's doing the same thing. So Oscar thinks it's E. So it's actually a half step lower than what it is in his brain. Now, how do I know that he has perfect pitch or had perfect pitch? Well, there's a record that came out about 5 years earlier. There's actually a bunch of things where that I've read that Oscar Peterson had perfect pitch, but there's a particular record with Joe Pass, a duo record, where at the end of Stella by Starlight, Joe plays his solo and ends on this B-flat major 7 chord, which is very common voicing on guitar, but it's very uncommon on piano, and Oscar plays that right after Joe plays it. And the only way that he would do that is if he had perfect pitch. It's obvious the way he does it to start off his solo. You know, this topic actually came up in an interview I did with Gary Burton. Gary Burton is one of the most famous vibes players of all time, probably the most famous. He got many people's career started. In fact, in this video here, you can see a young Pat Metheny who was in his group. That's from 1976. And had a legendary ear. He had perfect pitch. And in 2011, he came out with a story on NPR about how he lost his perfect pitch. So I asked him about this when I interviewed him. Unfortunately, that didn't actually get on film when we talked about it. It was actually during the setup. So Gary told me that his heart had stopped for a short period of time, and he went on a heart-lung machine and didn't realize that he had lost his perfect pitch until he went to a gig a couple months later with Chick Corea at the Blue Note. So they're warming up, and Gary says to Chick, why are you playing that in D flat? Chick says, what are you talking about? I'm playing in F. And Gary says, no, you're playing in D flat. Chick says, no, I'm playing in F. And so Gary told me he walks around the piano. He looked at Chick's hands and was astounded. He realized he didn't know any of the notes that Chick was playing. So his whole life, he had perfect pitch, could play over any chord progression, knew exactly what to play. And then all of a sudden on this gig, he's playing notes and he has no idea what they are. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is because I had a lot of emails from people about my Beethoven video where I talked about the fact that maybe Beethoven heard the Ninth Symphony or a lot of his later works in a different key than they were, down a half step. Maybe in his mind, he was doing the E to E flat thing. Maybe the Ninth Symphony was supposed to be down a half step. Some people then wrote, well, they found a tuning fork that was 455, A equals 455. And so, I mean, whatever his pitch reference was. Beethoven had perfect pitch. The other thing is, a lot of people have asked me, well, I think it's an ear thing, that maybe your ear canals change or anything? No, this is a brain thing. It has to be, right? Because you're imagining what these pitches are. If you think, ah. Okay, so in my brain, that note was A flat, but you noticed I was very slightly flat from it. My perception of what A flat is off. It's not accurate anymore. So really what you want to do is develop your relative pitch, because your relative pitch is just measuring one note against the next, what the interval relationship is between notes. It actually, in many ways, is just as fast as perfect pitch, but it lasts an entire lifetime. This is a video of me from Instagram that I did probably last August or so, where I'm using my ear training program to randomly generate intervals, and I'm naming them. Quick lesson. First thing I do every morning before I even practice the guitar, as soon as I get in, is work on some relative pitch training using my Beato ear training method. I'm going to do random intervals. I'm going to start with a reference tone C. Here we go. D, B flat, C, G, A flat, D, B flat, B, F, A flat, C, G, B, F sharp, E, D, C, G, E, A, F sharp, D, E flat, B flat, F, A flat, E, C, E flat. As you can see, that's pretty much the same speed as having perfect pitch. I noticed in the comments section of some of my videos, like when I just did the Spotify top 10 video, I'm sitting here and I'm playing the chords of the songs as they go by. Well, that's just using relative pitch. Because of my ear training course and spending years and years learning intervals and the sound of chords, I'm able to instantly figure out songs. So if you want to check out my ear training course, shameless plug, go check out beatoeartraining.com. You can watch the introduction video. That's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're a first-time viewer, ring the bell. That'll let you know when I go live and when a new video comes out. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. That's very important. If you're interested in the Beato book, go to my website at www.rickbeato.com. Follow me on Instagram at rickbeato1. Check out the new Beato ear training program at beatoeartraining.com. And if you want to support the channel even more, think about becoming a member of the Beato Club. Thanks for watching.